Hey guys, how are you doing? You've probably already heard the news with the latest 1.2.0 patch. Almost every fuse entanglement method has been patched, and with that, a lot of the duping methods for weapons as well. Which is why I'd like to tell you about a duping method that works for shields and melee weapons, including their fuses, as well as bows, and is still possible in the current patch, namely 1.2.0. For this, we will be using fuse entanglement Desync using a LikeLike, and the credits for finding these glitches are 1. Physio Ninja for finding the very first setup to perform this, the quick swap method that I've shown in my gas launching guide, and the fuse entanglement Desync via LikeLike, which has been discovered by Morse and Ryan. In order for this to work, you will need a spare weapon or shield or a bow, which we will be turning into the weapon that we want to dupe. So this is basically more of a transmutation glitch than a dupe glitch. You can use any type of weapon, shield or bow, it just has to be the same equipment type. If it's a shield or a melee weapon, make sure that the target weapon that you use is unfused. The stats, durability and modifiers of this equipment literally do not matter, as we will be copying all of these attributes from the other equipment onto this. In my example, my target weapon will be a stick. Additionally to that, you will need 2 unfused shields if you want to dupe a weapon or a bow, and 2 unfused weapons if you want to dupe a shield. Also, you will need a separate bow, a few arrows, and ideally some shock item that you can fuse to the arrows. If you have all of the above mentioned equipment and items, you're gonna have to find a LikeLike. You can use the TOTK object map for that, which I linked in the description. A good spot for this is a cave near the Gutenberg Shrine on Great Sky Island, since there's even 2 LikeLikes there. Before doing this, I heavily encourage you to save manually right at the LikeLike, so you can go back to that save if you mess up. Otherwise, you might lose your target weapon in the process. Now, we are essentially going to use the LikeLike's ability to unload our equipment to perform something called fuse storage, which will lead into fuse entanglement, which, you guessed correctly, we will be using to transfer our attributes from our donor weapon to our target weapon. For this demonstration, I want to use my Lionel Silver Reaper as a donor weapon. I'm going to drop this weapon now to the ground somewhere here, and then I will drop the target weapon, which is my stick right here, and put it in reach of the LikeLike and activate my fuse ability. Make sure you have your bow as well as a shield equipped and wait outside of the Like's reach, but inside of the fuse's reach until just before the Like tries to eat the equipment and press ZL. You should hear that sound you normally hear when initiating a fuse. Another visual cue is the sound that the Like makes during the pickup phase of the equipment. Listen closely and watch on the screen to get an idea for the button press timing. After that, nothing should visually happen except a slight movement of Link to indicate that he tried to fuse. Now drop your equipment that you just tried to fuse to and equip another equipment of the same type, meaning a different shield for a dropped shield and a different weapon for a dropped weapon. Go away from that spot, preferably out of its fuse range and out of the potential fuse range of the equipment the Like has devoured. Next, get your bow out, fuse a shock item to an arrow and shoot at it, and right after that shoot at its weak spot. Alternatively, you can just kill it. I have to add, however, that it is still not clear if the procedure of dropping the equipment at the same spot and moving out of the fuse range are actually helping to make it consistent, or if they do not help at all, but I've had a higher success rate when doing so far. You should now hear the sound playing when a successful fuse has been made, and your target weapon should drop right next to the equipment that you dropped earlier, as you can see here as well. If the Like drops the target equipment near its mouth, just move it back to a good place for fusing and try again. If the equipment gets fused to your equipped shield or weapon, as you can see here, just reload the save you made earlier and try again. If you're trying to dupe a shield, you need to use a melee weapon to fuse to, so there's a slight difference that you have to keep in mind. You need to fuse an item to your arrow or keep Link busy via jump slashing or any other means during the moment it spits out the shield for it to work. It's still not really clear what really works in this state and what does not, so feel free to explore and experiment around with that. As soon as your target equipment lays on the floor next to the dropped equipment, make sure you have no equipment of this type equipped and then pick it up. As you can see, I am now picking up the stick and the shield. You can pick up the other equipment, like I picked up the shield that we dropped right after the fuse storage, but technically we don't need it. Now you can see that the shield, despite displaying it in the overworld normally, displays the fuse in the inventory and the quick swap menu. Next up, we're gonna go back to our donor equipment and switch off the equipment that we fused to, meaning our shield in this case. In my case, I will be now unequipping the shield that I fused to. Now the weapon should disappear out of Link's hand, but is still visibly equipped in the inventory. This is a desync of the inventory and the open world. If we now pick up our donor weapon, the target weapon should turn into it as soon as we drop it. As you can see, the stick has been successfully turned into the Lionel Silver Reaper. If you want your target weapon back, technically you can now go to Pellison and break apart the equipment that you fused to. But since the weapon state of our target weapon literally does not matter at all, it's pretty useless to go that extra mile. Since you're going to need to fuse to weapons to dupe shields, and this is still pretty inconsistent because of the keep Link busy issue, which hasn't been discovered consistent setup, I'd recommend to do this only with your most valuable shields. This setup is a work in progress, so be sure to experiment with it, as I've already said, and tell me your findings in the comments. If you've enjoyed this video, leave a like and let me know what glitches interest you. Next up will be the clipping guide that I've already teased. I just kinda underestimated the sheer amount of complexity. So stay tuned for that and subscribe for more no BS glitch guides. See ya!